Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Future Stars live on Hidayat TV. I'm your host Azajah, and today we are continuing with our Prophet series, where today we are continuing with Prophet Yusuf. Last week we did Prophet Yusuf part 1, and today we're doing Prophet Yusuf part 2. So we're continuing with that now. Okay, before I continue, I would like to give my condolences to our Imam of our time, Imam Sahib al-Asri was Zaman. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajil farjum. Because Bibi Zainab today, it was her death day today, so I would just like to give my condolences. I'd like to first introduce my guests.
Assalamu alaikum, my name is Misbah.
Assalamu alaikum, my name is Mohsin.
Assalamu alaikum, my name is Said.
Thank you for that introduction. So, like we do on every show, one of you will recite the surah and someone will recite the translation. So, Misbah will be reading a surah today. I'm also will be saying the translation. So, can we start them off with a loud salawat? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajil farjum.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Wal asr, innal insana lafi khusr, innal ladhina amanu wa amilu salihati wa tawassaw bil haqqi wa tawassaw bis sabr.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. By time, indeed mankind is in loss, except for those who have believed and done righteous deeds and advised others to truth and advised each other to patience. Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajil farjum. Thank you, Mohsin and Misbah. Okay, that was Surah Asr, isn't it, Misbah?
Yeah,
that was Surah Asr. I mostly just read the translation there. So it said, what it said there, it was like that one of the greatest losses that we have, regardless of religion, race, or anything, what do you think is the most loss that we have? Allah says He swears by time. So what is the loss that we have? Most loss?
Is it like we waste time?
Yes. The most precious thing, regardless of anything, is time, isn't it? Yeah. And this is just saying Allah says by time that mankind is lost, meaning what does it mean? Saying
is that we are lost in time.
Saying we kind of most the things that hold us up, something like that, is wasting time, something like that. And it says and except for those who and then it says 4 points, do good deeds, that's one of them as well, who do good stuff, meaning so Allah is just saying there that the most loss that we have on this earth, regardless of race or anything, religion or anything, is time. And if you do good deeds, which is one of them, and the fourth thing that he did mention in that translation, what Mohsin just read, so we could understand that. This is why Mohsin and Misbah and Hussein, this is why we say to read the translation. So do you understand that meaning now? So he's just saying that we are at loss. He swears by time that we are at loss, meaning that we waste time, kind of something like and he says, except for those who do these four things, and which Mohsin said in the translation. So thank you. Okay, today our topic is Prophet Yusuf, part 2. Last week we were doing part 1. Does any of you want to recap of what we said last week, Mohsin?
Last week, the brothers kicked Prophet Yusuf into the well, and then the people took him to the Aziz of Egypt, and then
continue.
And then the king adopted him as his son,
Yeah, well, like he bought him as a slave.
Yeah.
First.
And then somebody
Adopted him as his
and then
son. Yeah.
somebody accused Prophet Yusuf of trying to steal something.
He was
He was accused of trying to kill the king.
yeah, plotting against the king. So he was sent to prison. Okay, so now, so last week we were talking about how he got kicked in the well and his brothers and the bloody shirt. When it got drained in ghost blood and they took it to his father. That was last week, and we recapped on that last week. So thank you, Bossy, for saying that. Okay, so now he people. So a few people that were going in a caravan to Egypt, they needed some water and they saw the well. So when they were going to get water from that well, they saw Prophet Yusuf there, and they saw him like he was kind of strong and he looked fit, and he was quite handsome. So they took him like to sell him because they thought they could get a lot of money, didn't they? Yeah. And the king of Egypt at that time bought him and adopted him as his son. So that's what happened so far. And then he got accused of plotting against the king. And then Misbah, what like happened next?
There was 2 prison mates there.
Yeah, there were 2 prisoners with him in his cell, wasn't there?
Yeah, and one was the wine servant, one was the royal cook.
Yeah, and what happened? Because they had a dream, and then they thought probably Prophet
The
Yusuf.
wine servant's dream was he was crushing grapes to make wine for the king, and the royal cook's dream was getting bread for the king, but birds pecking at it.
Yeah, and Mohsin, could you tell me what was his interpretation of the dreams?
The interpretation was that the person who was crushing wine for the king, crushing grapes for the king, he will be released and he'll go back to his old job, but
The royal cook, which had the other dream.
But the royal cook will be hanged and
what he interpreted was that he would be killed and his the birds would eat his brains, which is kind of disgusting, isn't it? Yeah. And what actually happened?
It did come true.
Yeah, it did. That was exactly what happened. And then
But the wine servant forgot to tell the king
when he got
about
left,
it.
what did Prophet Yusuf say to the wine servant?
To remind the king about him.
Yeah, that he was in there. But what happened?
The wine servant forgot to.
Yeah, and then the king had a dream, didn't he? And then he asked
His wise
all
men.
of the wise men to try to interpret the dream, but none of them seemed accurate enough. But at that time, the wine servant heard about this and told the king about Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. And when he told the king, he was asked by the king to interpret his dream, wasn't it? And what was the dream, firstly, Mohsin?
His dream, the king's dream, was that there were 7 fat cows, and there were 7 skinny ones.
Yeah, thin ones, yeah.
And the skinny ones was eating the big fat cows.
Yeah, and Hussein, what was his interpretation?
He was saying that now you've got all good crops and
Yeah,
stuff.
there will be 7 years of good.
Yeah, 7 years of good crops. Then the next 7 years after that, you will have like no crops.
Yeah, what is that called? Famine. Yeah, called famine. So so he got into when he interpreted the dream. What did the king do? What responsibility did the king give him?
He gave him his role of being Aziz of Egypt.
He gave him the role of being the Aziz of Egypt, and what did he do when he was given this role? What did he do?
He looked after the Aziz
Yeah,
of
he got
Egypt.
straight into job. He got straight into his job, and he planned how to do this. He filled the storehouses up to the brim like wheat and stuff like that, so they can use it. And when it happened, it saved their lives, didn't it? And when the what if there's famine, what happens?
There will be no crops and no food.
But what does it do? Like,
Does it rotten all the?
it does do that. All of the stuff I'm talking about. How did it included? How did it like include with Prophet Yusuf's family, like before family?
Because famine
and it spread out to different.
Yeah, it spread out to different places. And what was the?
Where his father and
his family was, and that was Canaan, wasn't it? Which it spread to. It spread to other places and Canaan. And so Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam, Prophet Yusuf's father, he said to his sons
to go and get some grains of rice.
Yeah, from the seas of Egypt. So then they went there, and they didn't recognize Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam, but
Prophet Yusuf recognized them.
He recognized them, and Prophet Yusuf was asking questions, and he got relieved, didn't he? He got relieved because his father was still alive, didn't he? He was relieved at that, and he was asking about because his younger brother Bunyamin, he wasn't there at the time when they was taking it.
Because Prophet Yaqub told them to leave Benjamin.
And that's what happened. So he was asking questions, making sure that his brother Bunyamin was all right, and his father.
And stepmother.
And stepmother. So he's asking all the questions. He finds that they're fine, and he's got a relief. And when they've given him the money for these things, and he's put these crops in a bag, but at the same time he's put their money in the same bag, so that
So then when they come back, they'll still have the same money?
They still have the money to pay for some more. So he's done this, and I told them next time to bring their brother Bunyamin, didn't he?
Yeah.
He told him next time you need to bring your brother Bunyamin
with them, otherwise they wouldn't get no grains of rice.
That's right. So that's the last bit that we came up in last week's Prophet Yusuf part 1. That was the last bit that we came up to. Mohsin has got the first part of today's show, so can we start Mohsin off with a loud salawat? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajil.
When Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam saw his brothers in Egypt, he was very pleased to see them. They did not recognize him, but he recognized them. However, he did not reveal who he was. Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam was disappointed not to see his real brother Benjamin, and asked his brother to tell him about themselves. They introduced themselves and told him about their father and mother. Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam was relieved to hear that his father, Prophet Yaqub, was still alive. Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajil faraj. Thank you, Mohsin. So now what's happened is just telling you again, like their first journey to Egypt. It's just Mohsin just said to recap that. So thank you, Mohsin. Misra's got the next thing, so could we start Misra off with a loud salawat? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajil faraj.
Prophet Yusuf sold them some grain, but instead of keeping the money, he secretly put it back into their bags so that they would have somebody to come back and buy more grain. He told them that when they came again, they should bring their little brother with them, otherwise he would not sell any more grain. When the brothers came back home, They told his father about the kindness of these youths and would like to see their money when they opened their bags. Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. Thank you, Miss Beth. So now they've come back home and they've told their father how kind he was.
But before they went back home, Prophet Yusuf secretly put the money back.
Yeah, they secretly put the money in their bag, and so when they took it home, and they told their father how kind the Aziz of Egypt was, which was Prophet Yusuf, and they didn't recognize him. So he was. They were telling him how kind he was, and they opened the bag, and they were delighted to see what was in the bag.
Their money.
Yeah, their money. Their money was in the bag, and they were delighted to see this. So next time, when they run out of all the grains, then they could buy some more. Okay. So Hussein's got the next thing. So could we start Hussein off with the loud salawat? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajil farajahum.
After some time, Prophet Yaqub's family was out of grain again, and the brothers had to go back to Egypt to get more. However, they could not go without Bani Amin, so they tried to convince their father to let him come with them. Prophet Yaqub was hesitant at first, but after he made his son swear by Allah that they would look after Bani Amin at all times, he agreed. When they reached Egypt, Prophet Yusuf ﷺ was extremely happy to see his younger brother and invited all of them to have dinner with him. Later, he let them all stay at his own house and asked Bani Amin to sleep in his room. During the night, Prophet Yusuf ﷺ told Bani Amin who he really was. However, he asked Bani Amin not to tell their brothers his real identity. Prophet Yusuf wanted Bani Amin to stay there with him, and so with Allah's help, they made a plan. Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. Okay, thank you, Said. So now they've run out of grain. They've gone back to ask for some more, but they're remembering from last time. What did they have to
bring Bani Amin.
Yeah, they had to bring their brother, or he wouldn't have give the grain to them. So now they've told his father, and his father was very hesitant because of what happened to Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. So they keep asking him, "Oh, we wouldn't get any grain." So he made the brothers swear by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that they won't like let him get in harm's way. Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam told them to swear by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that they wouldn't let Bani Amin get in harm's way. So they've done this. So they've taken him now. They've taken him now to the Aziz of Egypt, Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam, and they've actually showed him Bani Amin, and he was really how did he feel?
Relieved.
Yeah, he was relieved, and he was happy. He was very excited to see his younger brother, wasn't he? Yeah. But they still didn't know it was Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. And so they what did Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam do?
He invited them to dinner. Then he said that they can sleep over at his house, and he made sure that Bani Amin slept in his room.
Yeah. And what did he told Bani Amin?
His true identity, but he said don't tell anybody.
Yeah, he didn't tell anyone else. So, and we'll see a little bit in the next part when they're making up a plan to like to let him kind of like stay for to this, because they needed to tell their brothers, didn't they? So Miss Spence got the next thing, so could we start Miss off with the salawat? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajil farajahum.
The brothers prepared for their journey home. Meanwhile, according to the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam carried out his plan to keep Benjamin with him. He orders his men to put a silver cup belonging to the king in Benjamin's bag. The brothers of Prophet Yusuf had not gone very far before they were stopped and accused of stealing the silver cup. The brothers said that they were innocent, but after the guards had searched the bags, they found that the cup in Benjamin's bag, so Benjamin was not allowed to go back home.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa Okay, thank you, Miss Bear. We'll explain more about this because we run out of time for this half the show. We'll explain more about this in the next half of the show, but until then, good office.